Good morning, kombucha lovers. I am making Jun Kombucha today, and I thought I would share and give a how-to video on this. You fill up your pot with however much water that you desire for the amount of kombucha. You follow the directions for your green tea. I have two different kinds here, the gunpowder green tea and also the bags. I make big batches, so I just incorporate this along with my bags to get a good amount because the bags don't go very far. I have my frozen berry blend that I incorporate after I've strained and taken out my green tea. I always use local honey, and I always use vinegar to clean everything. The pots, the counters, your hands, the utensils you'll be using, everything. You want to make sure you're not touching very much with your hands. And these are your starters. I normally like to use my own starters, but for someone who's never made kombucha, using a bottle of store-bought kombucha is the easiest way to do so. And you want to have a SCOBY, which I grow my own SCOBYs, but you can order one. You can, grow your own like I do real quick. Basically, you just make a batch of kombucha and let it sit for a couple weeks, maybe a little longer, depending upon where you live. And make sure it's in the size jar that you'll be using for your batch of kombucha. And you just make regular green tea, like I said, in the amount of water you want from before, and you strain it or take the bags out, whichever you're using. And then after that, you introduce your berries and your honey. You want to use 3 tablespoons of honey per cup. So whatever that translates to you is important. And you mix it up. And then you just let it sit. Let it sit for as long as it takes to come to exact room temperature, because your SCOBY will sink if it's not almost the exact same. Even a couple degrees will make a huge difference. So I let mine just sit for hours until I absolutely know it's at room temperature. One thing I wanted to say before I forget, when you have your batch, which this is what I keep my SCOBYs in when I'm not using a batch, but usually I use it for my kombucha, I make sure you take the lid off, and I use a thin cloth, basically like the ones that you would use to like strain spinach in over the sink if you're using spinach and want to get all the water out. And then I just put a string around it to keep it tight, because you need your kombucha to breathe. That's how it ferments. And we let that sit, your batch of kombucha, for 2 to 3 days. You should start getting that vinegary smell, and once you've done that and you taste it and you think it has that appropriate taste, sometimes it needs to sit a little longer, but not usually, then you either keep it in what you have it in and cover it up with your lid, or you transfer it to a bottle with a plastic lid. You don't want it to be metal. And you put it in the fridge. So basically that's it. You make your green tea as normal with whatever amount, and you strain it. You incorporate your berries, your honey, you mix it around, you let it sit till room temperature. You make sure it has your SCOBY in the appropriate size jar that you want to use, and you mix your starter with your batch. You let it sit for a couple of days. That's it. You got your kombucha. It's usually way better than the store-bought, even though some store-bought is really good. The Jun Kombucha is different because it uses green tea instead of black tea, and it uses honey instead of sugar. I like the idea of the healthier ingredients. I also use decaf green tea most of the time. Sometimes I can't find it depending upon what store I'm at. But fermentation is so much fun. I make kombucha all the time because my family loves it, and I hope you guys do too. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comments, like and share. This is a passion of mine, so I hope you enjoy it. Have a good day.